Hello everyone, welcome to the first in a series of Winning with CPAs profile interviews. We're here today with Matt Yokie of Provident Retirement Advisors, and our goal here as we travel around the country is to sit down with top advisors all over the country and let you have an inside look into their practice, how they're building their practice, and more specifically how they're using Winning with CPAs to take their practice to another level. So Matt, thanks for being here. I appreciate you sitting down with us.
Sure, Brandon.
If you would, Matt, tell us just a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the business, how long you've been independent.
I got my start about 8 years ago, Brandon, with actually a group of captive advisors, and we were pursuing the health and life insurance market. It didn't take me too long to realize that financial planning is where I wanted to be. And it was at that point that I broke off from these guys and you know, kind of went my own direction there. And my primary target or demographic is those age 50 and up, you know, those retired or getting close to retirement. Okay. We got some medical professionals, some dental professionals, and some business owners, high net worth business owners, but most of them are primarily getting toward that retirement threshold.
Okay, great. So those boomers and or seniors.
Right, right.
And do you here at Provident Retirement Advisors, are you primarily a fixed business model? Do you do variable as well? How are you set up that way?
We're set up to do securities as well.
Okay.
And we do primarily we do a lot of fixed business. Okay. But we do have those folks that are still young enough and still have a risk preference or risk tolerance to still have some money in the market. Okay. And as our clients age, though, we're finding, you know, of course, they're going to become more conservative with their investment profile, and a lot of that money in securities does come out into the fixed side.
Sure, and I'm sure you're seeing that now, probably more than you ever have.
Right, with the economy like it is, and of course, you know, people that have had that mismatch, so to speak, with their investment profile are now seeing it. They're now making adjustments, I think, that probably needed to be made a long time ago, but are now coming to light with these folks.
Gotcha. Okay, great. What would you say for you specifically, just the last handful of years, what would be some of the biggest challenges that you've faced in your business?
Well, definitely I would say, Brandon, be marketing. You know, we always want to get in front of more people, don't we? And that to me as an advisor is one of the biggest challenges that you can face, especially in a changing market with the economy the way it's been and the level of trust in the consumers that have declined. You know, our primary marketing method was seminars. And through 2008, 2009, of course, that I think most advisors experience the same thing. Attendance starts to decrease, and you kind of end up picking that low-lying fruit off the trees there. You know, of course, the quality is less than it used to be, and the numbers are less, and the costs keep going up.
Yeah, well, having been a heavy direct mail seminar producer myself for a long time, I think I did that for 6 years. So, yeah, I certainly understand that as well. And when you think about, you know, before you started working with CPAs, which I know is a big part of your practice now, what were some of the different marketing avenues or things that you tried to get in front of new prospects? Because I think ultimately at the end of the day, I know we had dinner last night, you'd probably agree with this, that really as advisors, I think the thing that we need most today is to get in front of more people. Sure. I mean, everything else from closing ratios and presentations really is all for naught if you're not in front of enough qualified prospects. So how did you go about getting in front of prospects before we started working together and helping you with the CPA model?
We've tried everything, you know, and all of it has worked at a point in time, I believe, and I guess the key is, I would say, is, you know, you want to have a multi-legged marketing stool. Of course, we've done direct mail, we've done TV, you know, we've done radio, of course, seminars. Although we did have a multi-legged marketing stool, though, the primary or strongest leg, of course, was the seminar leg, and that is what has changed the most. Okay. I guess I would say in the last couple of years, or since we've been working with you, of course, you know, that seminar marketing leg. We don't need to rely on that weakening leg anymore.
Sure. Now let's talk about that for just a minute. So you tried TV, tried radio, which I know other advisors have tried as well. Did you just find that obviously direct mail seminars is a very quick turnaround approach, which is why I think it's been popular for so long, but what did you see with radio and TV? I mean, did you see much results there?
Well, I think the difference is you've got to constantly be visible to the public, and part of it's branding, which takes longer to get the results, and the results aren't always direct and measurable. You know, you have to continue to get your name out there. You have to continue to look at costs too. Now, seminars were, of course, I think most every advisor knows that has done direct mail seminars at one point in time. That was a very good, fast way to get in front of multiple people. And at that point, before you had so many people out there that were going, repeat attendees, people just going to get the meals, people not truly and genuinely interested. Before that started to happen, there were genuinely people out there attending these seminars looking for advisors.
Sure.
But of course, you know, we all know that decreased over time.
And so did you find, like I know I did, I never did TV, but I did do radio and other print advertising on top of seminars. Did you find that for yourself, as I know it did for me, that direct mail seminars became, although you had a multifaceted marketing approach, became the biggest leg on the stool simply because the results were instant, really, especially if you go back 4 or 5 years ago?
Right. Yeah, and I would definitely say that's the case. You know, and that's what attracted so many advisors to that, like myself. You know, being able to get in front of multiple people at a time, and maybe do one a month. You know, do 12 a year, and you're able to turn a nice profit each month by new clients that you take on. You know, and as the costs go up, obviously, and as the results go down, then it becomes more difficult and more difficult to turn that type of profit. So the answer to your question, obviously, is yes, it is because it was a quick, nice way to bring in these multiple people at each month into your business, and of course add to your bottom line.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you hit on that I know I found to be true in my market is, as more and more advisors jumped on the direct mail seminar bandwagon, it took a very viable way of growing your practice, something that was unique. And it seems now that there's so many advisors doing seminars. I don't know how you feel about it, but I know for me, it's almost like seminars are now the real estate timeshare pitches. You know, it's like we don't give away vacations, but we give away free dinners. So come out, listen to our pitch. And is that kind of what you've experienced?
Brandon, I would say you took the words out of my mouth there. Yeah, it's almost like seminars have become, in a way, maybe, and maybe I'm going too far here, maybe the cold calling when the do not call list started to come out. You know, the level or the perception that the public has, I think, of an advisor offering a free meal is much, much different these days than it was. You know, I think it was looked at more of as an educational opportunity back in the day.
Sure.
Now it's more or so that I think most consumers out there that get these direct mail pieces know that it's a solicitation. Yeah. Of course it is, but it's looked at in a much lower light than it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be it gave you credibility because you were a speaker.
Right.
Now you're just seen more as, you know, as again the guy pitching the timeshare or anything else. So, and with that, I think another thing that's an important point that you started to hit on is, you know, from the standpoint of, you know, regulation in this industry. I know a lot of advisors want to stay out of the regulators' crosshairs, but it seems like now, I don't know if you've experienced this here in Memphis, but I know in Missouri, it became a very big issue for people doing direct mail seminars. I know AARP will send, you know, lunch monitors or free dinner monitors out into the crowd to basically go out and try to catch advisors doing something wrong. So I don't know if you experienced that at all, or if you've, you know, heard of that, or your thoughts on that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think every advisor out there that's getting their name out there well enough is got some kind of reserve about being in the crosshairs of a regulator. That nobody wants, and no advisor wants that at all.
Sure.
And most of us are out there going about business in the right way, and doing things the right way, and doing the right thing for our clients. And I think it's very frustrating for those of us, which is the majority of us, that are out there doing that, and we're experiencing this regulation, I think for multiple reasons. One of those reasons, obviously, is because there's a few bad apples in the bunch.
Sure.
So yes, it is frustrating, and I think that personally for me, getting away from that has been somewhat of a relief. To know that I'm not exposing myself or constantly having to be on guard and protecting myself in the case that I do have regulators looking at me.
Attending your workshops, not for financial advice.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
right. And who wants to have a AARP free lunch monitor at your workshop?
Exactly. Well, and that's a good transition. Let's talk about, before we started working together, before you started implementing the Winning with CPAs approach, had you tried working with other professionals, CPAs, attorneys before?
Sure. I think my biggest frustration with that was always a lack of a proper system in order to be efficient. Mm-hmm. And to really derive value or give value to the relationships, complementing relationship between advisors, CPA or advisor and attorney, or mm-hmm. Whoever you're networking with, and that was one of my biggest frustrations in trying to achieve results with networking with those professionals. Of course, I would get some referrals here and there, but there were also multiple advisors out there trying
Sure.
to get the same type of referrals that I was, and I think that because of that, and a number of other things as well, it just made it that frustrating as well, and time consuming to try to actually make it work without a real solid system in place.
So without a system, what was your approach, or what was your value proposition that you tried to bring to the table? Was it, I'll split commissions with you, I'll cross-refer business? I mean, how did you try setting up those relationships?
Well, Brandon, I think you hit a key point right there, is value proposition. And that's a large part of what I was lacking, and a large part of what I think most advisors lack when they're out there in the field trying to network with CPAs or mm-hmm. other professionals, mm-hmm. is you gotta really put your mindset in the point of what's in it for the CPA,
Absolutely.
What's in it for the attorney, and most advisors, including myself in the past, fail to look, and of course I failed to really try to give some type of value to that CPA, and mm-hmm. I think that's where I fell short in that area, and I don't think that it's always that it's overlooked. I just think that most advisors don't know where or how to go about adding value. Of course, splitting commissions is one, but that opens up a whole new avenue of things to deal with.
Yeah, and I think there's also, the frustration of advisors who may want to work with CPAs, as I know I found myself, and it sounds like you in the same position, where we've tried a lot of home office engineered approaches, or we've thought, well, what would we want? Well, we'd like commission, or, we'd like to cross-refer, and I think another downfall is because so many advisors lead with one of those two primary value propositions, which, as you know, Winning with CPAs now, that's neither of those are our value proposition that we're bringing to the table at the beginning here. Is finding a way to strategically step back and think about it from the CPA's perspective, which is the difference. I think we always think about it for our perspective of what we want out of it, but really we need to step back and look at it from the CPA's perspective. So tell me a little bit about how you first heard about Winning with CPAs.
Brandon, I think I was on a webinar that you had done, and this was a few months back, and there was something different just in the pre-approach that you had, that I knew that this is something I had to attend. It was just a plain webinar that 1,000 of them are out there every day.
Sure. Now, what was it about that webinar, or what did you see in the program that made you think this is something that could really work?
The value proposition, the approach. Not only that, value perspective as an advisor that I could give to the CPA, but the value proposition that as an advisor I would be getting from the program as well.
Okay, excellent. So really arming you with something to go to the CPA with that didn't sound like everybody else.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. Well, and let's talk about, now you've been utilizing Winning with CPAs. How long have you been in the program now?
Oh, gee, probably a little over 6 months now.
A little over
maybe
6
7
months.
months.
6, 7 months. Okay,
Right.
great. And so in that time, let's talk about just very early on in the program, some of the results that you saw. And specifically, let's talk about at the beginning, at the outset of the relationship, when you began using the Winning with CPAs approach, meeting with these CPAs and or attorneys. I know you work with attorneys as well, which I think everyone will be interested to hear how you've taken and done that as well. But what did you notice as a difference in the response of the professionals you were meeting with utilizing this approach?
Immediately, once you get past the first barrier of them thinking that it's going to be the same approach, and they realize it's something different, immediately you can kind of see their eyes defocus and really start to absorb what you're saying, because it's not like anything else out there. And that's what really hit me, to answer your question, the very first response that I've really started to notice that, hey, this really has got some teeth to it for these CPAs. The value proposition is really something that is going to get their attention.
And a lot of these advisors who'd probably be watching this are somewhat familiar with our program, or maybe checking it out for the first time. So some of this may be a little foreign to them because they're not in the program yet. But as you know, of course, we utilize an interview approach with the different professionals. How did you find that first lunch interview went? Did you find they came in probably thinking you were just going to be like every other advisor, offering to split commissions, and then at some point noticed that it turned when you were actually proactively? Because I know one thing that you're working to do is build a strategic network of professionals here that your clients can be plugged into at Provident Retirement Advisors. So how did they respond to that initial opportunity of understanding what you were trying to build, and that they could potentially be plugged in as one of those professionals?
Of course, the first response out of the gate, you've got to get the meeting first, whether it's a lunch you're taking to, or however your approach is. My approach was I was taking him to lunch, and at first that was the perception. I could see it. Immediately they were thinking, okay, what does this guy want from me?
Sure, right, absolutely.
But it's almost like you turn the tables on them, and it's very, very unexpected. It kind of really hits them, kind of broadsides them in a way that is very powerful, very, very powerful.
And I think that's really key, is because a lot of people, and I think we see this with clients, they have preconceptions of what an experience with an advisor is going to be like, or an experience at a seminar. So being different, differentiating yourself, which today as an advisor, if you're doing seminars, is a huge challenge, because everybody perceives that you're just like everybody else. And so one of the things, of course, we talk about in Winning with CPAs is differentiating yourself from the other 10 advisors that this CPA may have been approached by. And so you felt that this program gave you that ability to differentiate yourself, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, in business, no matter what you do, you've got to find a way to differentiate yourself. Many people, will do that through their client base. They offer different services, whatever that may be for that advisor. But if you truly get down to the nuts and bolts of it and think about it, marketing differentiation is what is going to bring those people in the door for you if you want to increase your production.
Which I think we all, of course, are in business to increase production.
I think so.
Well, let's talk about one of the first CPAs you met with, because I know you ran into very quickly out of the gate a very big opportunity in the CPA that works with the attorneys. So talk a little bit about your first meeting with that CPA and what you uncovered there.
I found a CPA that I'd known him for some time, but I hadn't actually pursued a more in-depth relationship with. I had a couple referrals, I guess, from him. Had found that he was going to another larger, bigger firm with, I'd say 9 other professionals, attorneys and CPAs. And that is a relationship I'm cultivating further right now. But it could potentially be a big opportunity to actually implant myself into my practice, into the middle of these guys, and become possibly their go-to advisor. with the value proposition, I believe that's a very strong possibility.
And I think that's huge in uncovering additional opportunities, not just with the initial CPAs or attorneys you might sit down with, but of course all of those professionals know other professionals. And I know from what you told me here 6-7 months ago when you got started and had that first meeting, I know we were on a coaching call together, and I remember you telling me about, you know, meeting with this CPA that has made himself the go-to CPA for these 9 or 10 attorneys, which is just a huge opportunity. And I know working with attorneys, of course we talk about winning with CPAs, but you can win with attorneys, winning with property and casualty agents, anyone who's working with your ideal clients. So I know you specifically have one solid attorney relationship in place. So maybe talk about that a little bit and how you found this approach to be transferable from the CPA to the attorney as well.
Sure, Brandon, and it is transferable. I think with the program you do have to internalize it. You know, I mean, there's no magic bullet. You have to do the work, and you do have to internalize it, and put it into use in your practice. But everything that I've seen in this program has been transferable. You know, it's just a little, and obviously attorneys work a little differently. They don't see their clients, you know, regularly, year to year, like CPAs do. But the value's there. The value's there. It can be implanted. It can be used to help the attorney grow his practice, just like it can be used to help the CPA grow his practice. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's been as systematized yet for the attorney, because the attorneys are more difficult. Let's just face it.
Sure.
But it's definitely something that over time I think could produce the same results as with the CPA.
Excellent. Now let's talk about the clients that you've met with of other professionals. As you've integrated this program and you've sat down at this conference table with these other professionals' clients, what have you noticed as far as the difference in the level of trust or in the client meetings when a client or prospect comes from one of these other professionals versus the ones you've seen in the past from direct mail seminars or any other types of advertising?
Oh, Brandon, there's no comparison. The quality of client that comes in. The client that comes in from another professional, an attorney, a CPA, is somebody ready to work with you. And it's almost to the point where you got to take a step back with that client and say, hold on, wait a minute, let's go to another meeting with this, because you really want them to understand. You know, being an advisor, I'm sure we all experience this. We want our clients to know the why of what they're doing, not just the how.
Sure.
How are we going to get there? Why are we getting there? Because, you know, ultimately that reduces liability for us. You know, we want them to know, want them to understand certain things about their portfolio. But that's what I've experienced. You almost have to stop and back up that initial, I guess you would call it a sale at that point, but it's really not. It makes it from a sale into almost a true advisory partnership that you have, not only with the CPAs, but with the clients too, because immediately I've had many situations where they say, where do I sign? I don't need to know anything.
And I think you really hit on something that really makes this business fun, and that is when it goes from being a sales position to being a true advisor. And we all like to think that we're true advisors, but we all know we're salespeople. But I think the only reason we have to sell something, in my opinion, is when you don't have someone's trust. And there's plenty of groups out there I know that teach advisors all kinds of the latest closing techniques and, you know, pressure, appointment setting, and all this stuff that really, if you have the trust of the prospect before they become a client, I know what I noticed in my practice, and I'll let you speak to this, is it almost seemed to put the process on fast forward, because I think so many of us as advisors, I know myself, I used to run a 4-meeting appointment process. The first 2.5 meetings were just to get the prospect's trust high enough that they would actually listen to what I was saying. So I know what I found is that it seemed to put the process on fast forward, because when you start from the basis of trust, as you said, many times the clients come in and they're just ready to do business with you because the guard's down, you know, they're listening to what you have to say. So did you pretty much experience the same?
Brandon, I could talk for a couple hours on this, and I completely agree. Yeah, it does put the trust on fast forward, and I'll say something else too. Not only does it put the trust on fast forward, but it almost, in most circumstances, seems like the trust is already there, so it's not on so much on fast forward, it's just already present.
Sure.
Whereas I don't know if this might be a good analogy. When we're doing direct mail seminars, you know, we're constantly chasing.
Yeah.
You know, we're constantly trying to convince. Why do that? why not just put yourself in the stream of all these people that where all the trust is already there, and just utilize that instead of chasing? You're there, you're visible, you are the go-to guy. And it really changes the dynamics in such a way that once your eyes become opened up to it, you realize and you see how much you actually were chasing for that appointment or that sale or whatever that was. So again, we're coming back here to trust is key, and with that relationship, it's not so much, and I guess it is that the trust is on fast forward, but I've experienced the trust is just already there.
Yeah, maybe it's not the trust is on fast forward, but the client process is on fast forward. You don't have to waste those first couple meetings just building trust, trying to build rapport with people who are really perfect strangers. And I think what makes that work is what I call the transfer of trust from one professional to another. It's the trust they have in the CPA, they have in the attorney, really being transferred to you, because if the CPA, the attorney, whoever it is saying, look, Matt's our go-to guy, I mean, they trust that professional, so then they in turn trust you with that same trust. And I think most clients, most prospects prefer that, and I think the reason this model is going to be so huge over the coming years is because clients don't want to have to go out, as you well know, and find a new advisor. With all of the Ponzi schemes that come out every other week in the paper, all the greed they hear about on Wall Street, all the economic unrest and political climate and everything else they have to worry about, they don't want to worry that maybe they're working with the wrong person. So I think for them to have that trusted professional, which is why I know you're seeing success with this, is because when clients come to your firm, now they know they can find the other professionals they need, and they trust them because they trust you, they trust the CPA, they trust the attorney that they've worked with or are working with.
I agree.
So let's talk about results, because I know everybody watching probably wants to know results. So you've only been in the program 8 months, 7, 8 months, so really still relatively new. But we're sitting here, it's June 2011, so just halfway through the year here, what would you say, maybe as a percentage basis, what kind of increase have you seen over this point last year in your business?
Well, we've already done, to date this year, more than we did all of last year.
Wow.
And right now, if we keep up, it'll be at least a 200% increase.
Wow.
And I hopefully plan on making it more of an increase than that. But that to me is huge, having not done any seminars and spent any money on seminars.
Absolutely. Well, and that's just it. I mean, you talk about a 200% increase, which, by the way, congratulations, is a huge jump in your business in 6 months, 7 months. But not only that, but you talk about efficiency as well. And I think as advisors, we're business owners, but we typically think more like salespeople than business owners, so we don't sometimes think about efficiencies. I have guys tell me all the time, well, I do 10 million in production, 15 million, or I make this amount of income, and my question is always, well, how much did you keep? Because I know one thing you probably experienced in the seminars, as I did, is you make all this money, but then it goes right back out the door to seminars. So a 200% increase, but also I'm sure your overhead is down significantly not having to do the seminars.
Yeah, it's not what you make, it's what you keep, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and talking about that for just a minute, I mean, that large of an increase in your business as well as a decrease in overhead, I mean, what has that done for you? What has it done for your family and even your level of enjoyment of the business?
Oh, personally, it's been huge, Brandon. I met you and started working with Winning with CPAs at a time when financially my wife and I were experiencing some difficulties, and she had been laid off and lost her job, and me having to put all this expense out for direct mail seminars out the door every month. It's very difficult, and it might have even been a deal breaker for me as an advisor to continue to be in business at that point. What that has done, being able to eliminate the cost and expense of that seminar right there, and be able to increase my production at the same time. My wife's now working for me.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah, and she may go back to work if she chooses to do so, but she doesn't have to do that. So that's been nice in that respect, but also we all know direct mail seminars are stressful.
Absolutely.
What a way to live.
Especially to our spouses who are watching us pay for them.
Yeah, yep.
Well, of course, you guys found yourself in a position then, not unlike a lot of people in the country right now who, everybody's cutting back and cutting jobs and positions. So You ended up bringing your wife into the business with you,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. And how many interviews did she have to go through before you hired her?
Let me not answer that one.
Excuse me. Yes, that'd probably be like when my wife worked for me. So she's since moved on to bigger and better positions. But I'm glad it's working out for you guys.
It is.
What would you say for other advisors who are watching this, who would like to replicate your success, would like to see a 200+% increase in their business, in 7 months? What advice would you give them if they're looking at this program, or they're thinking about, or even not even this program, but just thinking about working with CPAs or other professionals in general? What would be some thoughts or some advice you'd give them?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of things to say here, but primarily I would say I do believe that the ways that we prospect, or that most advisors prospect right now, obviously, probably a lot of them are still doing seminars. Mm-hmm. I personally believe it's going to be outdated. I think that's going to be the way of the past, similar to the way cold calling, other avenues went. I don't think it's looked on as by the public the way it used to be. Mm-hmm. That's obvious. And I also think that working and networking with professionals and building that trust is going to be the wave of the future. So what I would say to anybody considering a relationship with you branding or winning with CPAs is absolutely go for it, and work at it, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, and I think what you hit on there is really big. When you talk about the landscape of the financial services industry right now, and how we're going out and we're building a relationship with clients, I think from the consumer side, strategic relationships, and this I know would be my vision, which I've shared with you, I know on a number of occasions, is to see these firms that have an integrated approach to planning. Because the reality is, we've all known for a long time that the taxes and the tax plan affects the financial plan, which affects the investments and the insurance. And all of us as advisors, different advisors, financial advisors, CPAs, attorneys, have all worked with the same clients but independently of each other. And I think especially in light of all of the pyramid schemes and everything we've talked about, I know one thing I've always thought made so much sense from the consumer's perspective is to have a team of advisors working for your benefit. I think it adds a huge layer of added comfort and security knowing that the professionals that you're hiring are working together, and I think also significantly reduces the chance that someone may be taken advantage of, because I know, I hear about clients all the time, they got swindled out of millions of dollars, and I think, if those clients had worked with a multifaceted approach to planning or a team of advisors, there's more checks and balances, probably a lot less likely that those people would be brought into something that would not be in their best interest. So I know our vision is, and I hope that this will continue to catch on, is that advisors will see that it's what consumers really want. Whether they can verbalize that or not, I think we all, even ourselves as consumers, want to know that the professionals that we hire are working together as a team. So, and I know that's what you're working hard to integrate here, and I've got a lot of potential ahead of you, just being 8 months in and already seeing the increase that you've seen. And I know you have many professionals in play right now. Maybe talk just briefly in closing about some of the other professionals that you have that you're currently talking with, that you're looking at potentially bringing on as well.
Oh, there's a number of professionals that we're looking at, and one in particular we might actually be renting a little office space from and trying to implant our business model directly into their office. That makes your visibility much higher.
Absolutely.
And there's multiple areas where we're actually thinking about pursuing that avenue as well. And I think anywhere where you can add value to that CPA or to that professional from their eyes, if they perceive that as value, anything extra that you can add there is going to only help you. So we're constantly looking for ways to do that, and obviously the basis or the foundation for that is what we've received through the Winning with CPAs program.
Sure, and taking it to that next level, sounds like what you're doing is, actually, we talk about being present in the other professional's office, but, being positioned in a CPA's office, especially during December and April 15th, when they've got hundreds of clients walking through the door. I think that's a really unique approach, and something we may even add into the program is how can you take it that extra step to actually be implanted into their office. And one last thing in closing that you said is you got to get out there and work it. And I know one thing that I say, and I'm sure you'd agree with, is I think as advisors, what I tell the advisors I coach now is you can chase prospects or you can chase CPAs. But one of them you have to continually chase for the rest of your career. But as you well know and are starting to see, and I hope everyone watching this will see too, is when you spend the time and the energy, like you said, there's no silver bullet, but when you have a track to run on and you spend the time to find these professionals, develop the relationships as you have, can you think of any better way to grow your business in 2011 and beyond?
No. I mean, that's a simple answer, Brandon, I know. But if you can think of it, you tell me. Well, no, I can't. I really can't think of a better way. It's the only way to get in front of a group of people, obviously the CPA's clients, where the trust is already there. You don't have to develop it. And I think you made a good point. The appointment process is shortened to a great degree. And by developing that relationship, chasing the CPA instead of the clients.
Sure.
Obviously, you don't have to chase. If a CPA's got a book of 500 clients, you don't have to chase down 500 clients individually.
Right.
And a lot of those people are going to be the same people that will not attend a direct mail seminar or will not respond to a piece like that. That's the high fruit on the tree, so to speak.
Which is also the high net worth clients, the ones we want to work with.
The ones that want to be referred, the ones that want to be.
And I think that's also what's exciting about this is I think you're actively working with two, maybe a third partner right now. So you don't need 15 or 20 relationships. You need 3 or 4 really key ones. And I think that's what you found to be the case as well, which I think is exciting because it doesn't mean it's going to take you. I mean, you've been in 6-7 months in the program now, and I've already seen the results you have. So I know you're going to continue to build a couple additional relationships, but now it's fostering the relationships you have in place. So the chasing is done, so to speak. You've done the hard part, and that's finding the relationships that are a good fit. Now it's about drilling down deep into those practices.
Right, about implementation and really bringing out the best in the relationship.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you on only being 6-7 months in the program and seeing that kind of growth in your business. I'm sure for you and your family that's phenomenal and having a huge impact. I know it's increased your enjoyment of the business. I can tell just by talking with you over the past 6-7 months as we've worked together. So congratulations to you for spending the time, doing the work, getting out there, and forming these relationships. I look forward to watching you continue to grow over the next number of years as we work together. So.
Me too, Brandon.
Well, everyone, I hope you found this to be insightful and enlightening. And thanks again, Matt, for being here. And we'll see you next time when we'll be down in Sarasota, Florida, where we'll be interviewing another one of our top advisors in the Winning with CPAs program. So thanks for watching.